You're listening to Your Magical Midlife. This podcast is for women who are seekers, dreamers, and out-of-the-box thinkers. If you're a Gen X woman who never quite fit in, and probably never will, listen up. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and coach, and I'm here to guide you through the expansive, exhilarating, and sometimes exhausting crossroads that we find ourselves in at midlife. Whether you're a seasoned listener or just joining the adventure, think of this podcast as your hot pink convertible cruising down the highway of change. Together we'll navigate the sometimes baffling backroads of midlife and collect all the cool souvenirs along the way. Get in and buckle up. Our map may have flown out the window miles ago, but that doesn't mean we aren't going to have a blast. Let's hit the road and discover the magic just around the bend. Rosebud Woman was developed in response to women's unaddressed needs for beautiful, luxurious products that provide relief and pleasure, whether it be for period pain, pregnancy, perimenopausal woes, or menopause symptoms. Intimate wellness products are often designed to use with a sexual partner or medicalized to treat a diagnosed issue. Rosebud Woman feels different. It feels ceremonial, like I'm doing a beauty ritual while addressing my 50-plus-year-old body's needs. Their everyday honor balm is gynecology tested and hormone free. It hydrates, conditions, and replenishes intimate skin. It is excellent for all phases of a woman's life. Go below to my show notes and use the affiliate link for 20% off. Mary Michelle Nidiffer is a master style coach, life coach, podcaster, and founder of the StyleFinder Boutique based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. She helps women over 40 dump the frump and dress to impress. I am so excited to have her on the podcast today.
Hey, Michelle, how you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Kate?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
For the listeners who don't know you, can you tell them a little bit about who you are and what your mission is as far as women in midlife?
Yes, absolutely. Well, in a nutshell, I am a master style coach. I am a podcaster. I am an author, a speaker, and I like to say empowerer of women. I look at my mission as I'm here to empower women through personal style. And really, I focus on midlife women because I'm a midlife woman, and I think that's really what my journey has led me to.
Why is style such a powerful thing?
Gosh, I could talk all day long on that. But I think in a nutshell, I like to say style is a powerful tool because it is how we express who we are on the inside, on the outside. I say what you wear tells the world who you are.
Yeah.
I think it's a way for us to, first of all, connect with who we are ourselves, but it's a way for others to connect with us as well.
Yeah.
I love what you said on my podcast. You said style is the gateway to joy. I love that. And I also believe that style can influence how you feel. It can make you happy. It can also bring you down if you're disconnected from your style.
Absolutely. Were you always into style and fashion, or is that something you developed over time?
I have always really just had a passion for desire. I've always been in tune with clothing, how it made me feel. I think I've always been really driven by, when you see a woman or a man or anybody and they're wearing something, but it's greater than the clothes. It's greater than the sum of its parts. And it's what someone exudes when they're wearing an outfit that is so powerfully them, that is so uniquely them. And it just is a wonderful way to express. And so I remember when I was a young age, seeing a woman dressed in a way that truly fit who she was. And I was mesmerized.
Me too.
And I was probably, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I started sewing. My parents always had a great sense of style. My dad used to say, dress to impress. And so I think it was just something that I was around. I mean, neither of them were in the fashion industry, but it was just something that I was around. I was exposed to. We would take family shopping trips. And I just loved clothing. Yeah. So definitely from a very early age.
Yeah. As a child, I grew up in a very conservative, kind of preppy household. My mom was aspirational, but we were working class. And
Mm.
my mom would get me hand-me-downs. And I always wanted more glamour, more beauty, more sparkle. My mom was all about plaid and Irish knit, and Irish sweaters were Irish. So she was all about that. The plaid that's like the blue and the green. There's a word.
Gingham.
Yeah. It was just really like seersucker, gingham, plaid, wool, Irish sweaters. And
Mhm.
I always wanted much more like fabulous, glamorous, more eccentric things. And I went to Catholic school, so I wore a uniform until I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And I didn't really find self-expression until I hit 18, 19 years old. So I think the way we dress ourselves says so much about who we are and connects us to ourselves. But what do you think when women get into midlife? They often just find themselves unsure what to wear, unsure who they are. Like they just gravitate towards like the
Mhm.
schlumpy, baggy. They don't want to put themselves out there as much. Why do you think that is?
That's a great question. Well, I think it's multifaceted. I
Mhm.
think a lot of times when women hit midlife, we're at different points in our career. Some of us are in what's called the sandwich generation. We still have younger kids at home, but maybe we're taking care of aging parents.
Mm.
Or maybe we are still taking care of kids and then we're running a business, or we're taking care of our spouse or our partner, or somebody or who's dealt with an illness. And a lot of times I think women, once they hit midlife, there's first of all, there's the external. I'm disconnected from myself because I'm so busy. I
Right.
don't am anymore. I don't have time to look at the trends. I don't have time to go shopping. I don't have time to pay attention. But I think also part of it is our bodies change.
Definitely.
I think this is kind of like the tipping point for a lot of women. Like, oh my gosh, now I've got what we call the midlife middle, right? And my pants don't fit, so I need new clothes. And I think oftentimes it's that I need new clothes because nothing fits that kind of opens up that can of worms. Like, oh yeah, like what do I even want to wear anymore? And what I have seen, especially after COVID really brought that out in a lot of people.
Me
But
too.
I've been seeing for years, even prior to COVID, is a lot of women would hit that point and then they start thinking it's a mindset game. I'm not worthy anymore. Who am I? I'm going gray. I've got wrinkles now. My physical appearance has changed. But I think a lot of women start to feel what we call frumpy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so fascinating to me. I'm actually writing a book called The Midlife Woman's Guide to Fighting the Frump. And as I've been doing so much research on this and talking to women, I'm coming to realize that, the word frumpy, it's a societal construct. And I think it's so interesting because to look back, we've been seeing this like fight your age in skincare and look more youthful and look more desirable. And even as far back as like the 1920s, there were ads for color your hair or you won't be attractive anymore.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that there's this, like out in the ether, there's this notion that if our physical appearance changes and we're not quote unquote as beautiful, even though women can be beautiful at any and every age or shape or size, I think there's this feeling that if I get older, if I gain weight, if my hair changes, if my body changes, I'm losing my beauty. And
Right.
if I lose my beauty, I'm no longer worthy.
Yeah. And that is such a demoralizing message. I don't think you can hang on to who you were.
No.
I think you can exercise and diet and you try, but you are fighting an uphill battle. I mean, it's going to happen to JLo. It's going to happen to JLo who has money and resources and a trainer and a nutritionist And how far, you get to a point, it was like, how far do you want to go? Do you want to spend $100,000 on a facelift and veneers, and nothing does anything wrong with all those things. You can do whatever you want. But how hard do you want to fight, or do you want to lean into the new version of yourself, like who you are now? Which is one of the things that I try to work with the clients that I see in my coaching business, not so much with the fashion stuff, but just being in acceptance of where you are now and celebrating this part of your life and finding a way to dress her as you are.
I think one of the biggest challenges that women face in midlife is a denial of who they are, a denial of self. And it's this like, oh my God, you look in the mirror, oh my gosh, who am I now? I've now got wrinkles. I've now got, gray hair, or if you continue to color your hair, I actually started to go gray for a little while. And I was like, you know what? I'm not ready for that yet. I started, but then I remembered, you know what? I've been coloring my hair since I'm 15. I'm choosing to color my hair because I like to.
Right.
But whatever you're doing, if you come at it from a place of denial versus acceptance, and when you deny who you are and you can spend all this money and you can look a certain way, but if you're trying to stay the same, you're never going to stay the same.
You can't.
But here's what I found that's kind of crazy is that so many women talk about their youth. Oh, if I just looked like I did when I was in my 20s or my 30s. But here's the thing. When we were in our 20s and our 30s, we didn't appreciate it. Most women don't appreciate it. We're looking at everybody else. Well, my thighs are too big and she looks better than me and maybe I should look like her. And we're not happy with ourselves. Most of us are not happy with ourselves. But as we get older, we look back and we're like, oh yeah, I really should have appreciated that. Yeah. And so I think the beauty of aging lies in self-acceptance.
Absolutely.
And when we can accept who we are and where we're going and that it is a natural evolution, really step into that, then that I look at it as it's an invitation for what's next. What do I get to wear? How do I get to dress in my 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond?
Right. Do you have any style icons in that age range that you like to?
Oh, there are so many great.
Who are your favorite?
One of my favorite style icons is actually a character, but I love how she dresses in real life too. But if you watched Emily in Paris, Sylvie is fantastic.
Sylvie is fantastic. Yeah.
What, 50, 60 something, and she dresses like I just like however she wants to. Like age is not a factor, and it's not. It shouldn't be. But I think there's so many, so many of my clients have great style icons. Jane Fonda is fantastic. I mean, she's what, 80s, 90? I don't even remember.
In her 80s, for sure.
She looks fantastic. But there are so many out there that are just rocking their style. One of my exercises I've taken my clients through is finding a style icon that you can relate to. And there are so many women out there that, Oprah is a great style icon. I mean, of course, she has a team of stylists putting her together.
Right, right.
She's a great one. I mean, there's so many, I can't even begin to give you, I mean, I have a massive list somewhere, but some of my style icons are like 40s, 50s. I do love Sarah Jessica Parker's character.
Yes. Yes.
She would be, but I'm like over 50. I'm not sure if she's over 50. Maybe. I mean, she is in person now. But Carrie Bradshaw, I love her edgy style.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think they're all supposed to be like 55 at this point.
Okay.
They're not pretending to be under 50.
Okay, good.
Think about her, but even, if you watched the reboot, the way that they styled her in new season, they updated her look a little bit. They made her, she's still wearing the tutu, but it's not a mini. It's a longer tutu. She's still wearing the sparkles, but it's like slightly more modest.
Right.
So it's a way to still remain yourself while modifying it for your new body.
Absolutely.
But face it, it's really all about the body that changes, which really throws a lot of women off. A lot of women have a hard time because they get a little tummy. Happening for me is like I'm noticing I'm getting a crepiness on my clavicle, which is very disturbing. What do you think women get preoccupied with? Like it can get
so many things. I think what I hear most is weight gain.
just in
Weight
general gain.
General weight gain. I think. I mean, I hear a lot of specifics, but I would say overall weight gain around the middle, the midlife middle.
Yeah.
It's probably the number one thing. I hear the bust line a lot. I hear arms. I hear, all sorts of things. But I think especially when it comes to clothes, because I'm in the style realm, when it comes to your clothes that fitting, having that midlife tummy changes everything.
Yeah. And what's like the best way to, I guess it would depend on the specific body, but do you have like a go-to where you start as far as not, well, I guess camouflaging it is the right word.
Sure. Well, what my go-to fashion formula is our 3-step style formula. And we do our live shows, and I asked my ladies yesterday, I was like, what am I doing today? Because I had the top and the bottom, and they were like column of color. I was like, you guessed it, because it's what I call a column of color. When you can start with a tank and usually a pair of slim pants, but it could be anything. Or a dress, you can do it with a dress, you can do it with palazzo pants, you can do it with anything. But when you create a column of color where the top matches the bottom, first of all, it's super easy. It's what I call a wardrobe starter.
Right.
You do a million outfits with that. But when you start with that, and yes, you can use black, but I encourage you to use another, a different color. Maybe you use navy or, gray or green or turquoise or whatever. But you can use any color and then put on a third layer. That it's that rock star piece, that piece that like lights you up. That's like, that brings in the color, the sparkle, the print, the pattern, and maybe it's a little bit longer. Because if you've got weight around your midlife middle, you don't want a jacket that stops there. Maybe it comes a little lower, maybe about your lower bum, mid thigh. For me, I've got on like an elegant long duster today. So however long, but that long, when you put something over it this long and lean, and when you have the same color top to bottom, it creates this long, lean line that can be elongating, it can be slimming. And then once you put that third layer on, it will visually take off pounds.
Right.
And I know people have been asking, especially lately, like, what about in hot weather? Well, maybe you wear a long floaty kimono that's super lightweight. It brings in the color, brings in the texture, gives you that look, but it doesn't make you hot.
Right. That's another thing I just thought to ask you, like off the top of my head. A lot of women in midlife are struggling with hot flashes. So do you help them figure out a nice way to layer so that they can take something off if they're having like a day?
Yes, for sure. Well, I love layers, and I think layers certainly can help you transition in midlife. But when you start with, let's say you do a sleeveless tank for your column of color, and then you layer a lightweight kimono. And if you want to be able to take the kimono it allows for airflow and movement, so you may not need to take it off. But if you want to be able to take it off and you're self-conscious of your arms, maybe you choose something that has a little bit of a cap sleeve or a short sleeve.
Okay. How about heels as you get older? Like I notice that I can barely tolerate wearing heels at this point in my life because hammer toes and bunions and all the things that like pop, all the horrible things from wearing cheap, crappy shoes in my 20s and 30s.
Sure.
Oh, but I need a little height because I'm only 5'2". I'm not as thin as I was. So, I want to look as lean as possible. So do you have good shoe suggestions that aren't frumpy, that aren't like shoes or,
Well, I think, heels certainly are a personal preference. I personally have never liked heels. Now, if we have a dressy event, I'm tall, so that's kind of been my excuse, but I just have they just never really felt like me unless, I'll do maybe a 3-inch heel at the most, but usually I want a little bit of a platform with it because it makes it easier to walk in. So if you could do something like that, like a 3-inch heel with a slight platform, so you get the heel effect and you get the lift, but it's not the 4 to 5 inch stiletto. You could also do a flat form. not everybody, it's not right for everybody, but I personally love flat forms, and they can come really high, or you can get just a slight flat form. But a flat form is basically like a flat with a raised platform, but it's straight across. So the heel per se.
On an arch. There's no arch.
There should be a little bit of an arch, but it's not. It's basically, it's like a flat. If you took a flat shoe but added I guess there isn't really an arch, but added, say, 2 inches.
Okay. I have a couple of pairs of it's so embarrassing to even admit, because they're such like old lady shoes, but whatever, I'm 53. I invested in a couple of pairs of Clark's wedges with cork wedges because I live in the tropics, and so it's warm almost year round. And I have like a pink pair, a metallic gold pair, and a black pair, and they go with everything in my wardrobe. No, I can make it all day in those. I made it all day in New York City when I went to go visit my college roommate. And I was like, I can't believe I'm still walking around
Wow.
in these cork wedges and I feel fine. Like my back doesn't hurt, I don't hurt. It's really, really important to take care of your feet. There's nothing worse than when your feet hurt. I mean, that's just the way to like wreck your whole day is to be on your feet and have your feet hurt.
Definitely.
Back when I was in my early 30s, I did the course at FIT, the image consulting course. It taught us the classic Color Me Beautiful.
Yes.
I remember, because I was like in my early 30s and it really wasn't on my radar yet, reading that as you get older, because of hormonal shifts and your coloring changes, you may no longer be what you thought you were in your 20s. I was a classic winter.
Yes.
And now I'm not really sure. Do you think there's truth to that? Because they used Elizabeth Taylor as an example. Like she went from a winter to a spring, I think, as she aged.
I think it's interesting. I mean, honestly, Kate, I would say you're still a winter because your hair's still dark. Now, if you let your hair go lighter or if you went completely gray, that might shift.
Wow.
I'm a winter as well, but as I've gotten older, I've lightened up my hair and I'm starting to play with different colors. I actually had some colors on yesterday that are a little bit warmer than I usually wear, but felt right and it tied into my hair. So, but it's interesting. I used to be a color purist, if you will, and really, advocate that my clients stick to their season. But now I see a lot of women are what I call split seasons. Maybe you're 80% this season, but there's 20% that might be a different season. Maybe 20%. It's not saying like you can wear any color you want, but if you find, like I've found in myself, I'm seeing these warmer browns tie in with my eyes, tie in with my hair. And they actually mix really well with two of my favorite winter colors, which are vibrant fuchsia, which you have on right now.
Oh, I love vibrant fuchsia.
A vibrant teal. So it's been interesting to me, but someone commented on one of my reels on Instagram recently, something about, what did she tell me? Because I was talking about how women's seasons can change as they age. And she said, I respectfully disagree. It's all about your skin tone. But here's what I know to be true. As we age, we lose pigment from our hair, our skin, and our eyes. And so as we lose pigment, I have seen, in fact, when I first became trained in style and color analysis, I remember doing a color analysis on my mom. She used to be a winter. Back in the 80s, light skin, dark hair, and then she went salt and pepper. She was definitely a winter. But then she started coloring her hair. Then her skin changed, and she became an autumn. It was really, it was not the shift that I would see, but she used to look great in black and vibrant jewel tones. And then all of a sudden she was rocking orange, and avocado green, and rust, and all these colors that she never wore before. And that I certainly wouldn't look good in, but she looked amazing. I'm like, that's really interesting to me. And so my feeling is that, here's the thing. It's like, everything's evolving. Our bodies are always changing. Even if whether we've gained weight, lost weight, even if we stay the same, our bodies are changing. But our coloring is also changing. And then as our coloring changes, as we color our hair, the color that I color my hair now is different than it was 10 years ago.
Oh, me too. I used to do that real blue-black, gothy, out of the box, Clairol blue-black. And I can't do that now. I would look like I hadn't slept in a month. I would look Well, it would look terrible.
Right.
So I've gone to like a nice, rich, dark brown. I was tempted to go blonde over the summer, but not. I realized that, I don't know, like platinum blonde is a look that I actually think I've aged out of being able to carry off.
Yeah. I think you could still rock it.
Oh, I would need to, I don't know. I don't think it's for me.
You got to feel it.
Yeah,
You got to feel it, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. The one thing I can't let go of, and I don't think I ever will, is I wear a signature red lipstick. I've been wearing the same color, same brand for 25 years. And I remember reading, I'm sure you know who Simon Doonan is. He was the window dresser at Barney's in New York City.
Yeah.
Like several style books, and they're all very campy. But I remember one of his style books suggested that you go out and you buy a lifetime supply of your lipstick in case they discontinue it.
Yes. Yeah.
And have like a signature look.
Totally relate. And it's interesting because I get comments all the time. People tell me, oh, your lipstick is aging or your lipstick is too dark. I'm like, you know what? This is what makes me feel good. And when I see pictures of myself with lighter lipstick, it looks like I've just disappeared.
Yeah. What is your signature? Is it the funky glasses and the dark lip?
Well, I wear my these are actually readers, but I use them when I'm online. Just to help, it just helps me see a little bit better. Thank you. But I do and they also keep my hair out of my face.
They're great. They're really cool.
Thank you. But I do love these, but they're only readers. But I would say as far as signature items, boots. I love any kind of boots or booties. I love my liquid leather motor jackets, really kind of jacket, blazer, kimono, liquid leather jacket. I love chunky jewelry. I don't really have any on right now, but typically I'll wear like a 3-inch bracelet, a chunky statement necklace, or chunky earrings. I've got wear a big watch. I love anything hot pink, gold, anything metallic. Yeah, but my signature lip color, and it's not one you can just get out of the box because I layer. I've got a colored gloss I put on that really helps my lipstick to stay. So when I'm on camera or when I'm doing something or eating, it doesn't always come off. And then I have the lipstick color I actually use. If I don't use the underlayer, it's actually a lot lighter.
Yeah. It's good though. It's a good lip color.
Thank you.
My audience members who can't see you right now. What do you think every woman over 50 needs to have in her closet?
I would say a good functional wardrobe capsule.
And what does that entail?
Well, it's different for everybody. And here's where I am going to deviate from what you probably heard. There's so many magazines, well, it used to be magazines, blogs, influencers out there that talk about like the capsule wardrobe and what all women need to have, and it's got the khaki pants and the black pants and the this and the white shirt and that. I'm gonna say forget that because that is, in my opinion, is a one-size-fits-all, very cookie-cutter approach that does not take your personal style into account. And in some ways, Kate, I feel like those top 10 lists of items all women must have in their closet are part of the reason I became a style coach, because I have a very romantic and dramatic style. I'm not classic. I have tiny little bit of classic, but I lead with the romantic. I lead with the dramatic. And when I put on khaki pants and a white shirt, I'm like, who is that in the mirror? That does not light me up. And so I think for me, it was like, ooh, I don't want to wear little black ballet flats. That's not who I am. And I know they're hot right now. And if they work for you, great. But my advice is build a capsule wardrobe, which typically is about 7 to 12 pieces. And I'm not saying that's all you should have in your wardrobe. But when you have a wardrobe capsule between 7 and 12 pieces that interchange, they're all in similar colors. You can mix and match. And so on the days where you're not feeling great, maybe you're bloated, you've gained a few pounds, you have pieces you can reach for. It's like that comfort. Hey, I can go grab that column of color and put on that, great blazer, or I can go grab that dress and put on that great motor jacket. And it's going to make you feel good. It's going to fit you. It's going to flatter you. It's going to make you're going to walk out the door feeling like $1 million, not like, oh my God, I hate this outfit. Because that will affect how you feel throughout your day and your life.
Absolutely. There's nothing worse than having someone knock on the door and you're not pulled together. You don't feel like yourself, especially if you have a very distinct style the way you do or the way I do. There's nothing worse than like the UPS man comes to the door and like you're still in what you slept in. I mean,
Well, actually, I disagree with that. I think the worst thing is like those days you just start out to the grocery store because you need something real quick. Maybe you're coming from
no.
your class or whatever. And then, of course, who do you see? You see like your ex, or you see that person you've been wanting to talk to, or you see a friend and you're like, oh, yeah, I just came for you. I mean, to be honest, I've kind of gotten over that. And I actually went to go get coffee right after my walk this morning, and I was all sweaty and I hadn't really gotten dressed for the day. And I ran into a friend I hadn't seen in a while. And I was like, I was like, I don't care anymore because I just am, so comfortable with who I am authentically. But I think if you're going through that phase and you're not sure about your body, you're not sure about yourself, and you're not feeling great, and then you see somebody, you're like, let me just go hide. Let me run back to the car. I don't want to talk to them. That's not a good feeling.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of women in midlife get a message, and I just want you to kind of weigh in on this. There are certain things like you can't or you shouldn't wear anymore. You shouldn't wear leopard print. What do you think of that?
Oh my gosh. That is a great question because, it's interesting. I became a style coach when I was 40. So, just kind of entering the midlife realm.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I hit the ground running, doing a lot of speaking. And one of my most popular topics was like what not to wear over 40 or what not to wear over 50 or, what are the fashion rules?
Right.
And it's interesting because, I was new to being 40 and I was new to being a style coach. And so I did a lot of research, found a lot of things online. And I used to have this thing about, oh, okay, water down your style and do this. But now that I'm in my mid-50s, I'm like, F that. Wear what you want to wear. Because I tell you what, I've been having so much fun with my style lately. I went to lunch with a friend last week. And I had on my layered tulle skirt and my funky boots and my white shirt and a great blazer, and it felt like $1,000,000. And then I went out with a friend to hear a band. I've been playing around with wearing fishnets and boots and like just doing things differently. But I tell you what, the energy, it's like dopamine dressing. The energy I get from that. And here's the thing, I just say this and I want to segue into something else because what I have come to realize, there are no age limits. There are, ladies. There are no style rules. And that has been a big aha for me. But what I've come to realize is, and I think in this day and age, if you get on Instagram, if you look anywhere and see what people are wearing, it's almost this anything goes approach.
Right.
But I know that if you've lost your style and you're trying to get back to it, there are certain principles of style, if you will, to help you determine your best fit, your best colors, if you want to be in alignment. And so my best advice is find out what those principles are, find out what's right for you, but then trust your intuition. Because if you, like I said about the, warm browns I was wearing, if you put on a color and you love how it feels, maybe it's not in your color palette, but you love how it feels, why wouldn't you wear it? If you love how you show up when you wear that, why wouldn't you wear that? If you love your heels and you're 70 and you still can walk comfortably in them and they make you light up, who is anybody to tell you not to wear them?
So,
Wear what lights you up, what's right for your lifestyle. I think in this day and age, it's more about what's right for your lifestyle, what's right for your body, what's right for your coloring, not about what's right for your age. I mean, look at Tina Turner. She rocked mini skirts until her last breath, right? Yeah, she flaunted her best asset.
right.
Why can't we all do that?
I think a lot of women in midlife don't even know what their best asset is. Right? They're like, well, I got this belly now. I have a 6-pack. My boobs are 2 inches, 3 inches lower than they were. My butt sagging. What's like a safe thing that almost every woman can celebrate?
Well, that is a different thing for everybody. I mean, I could start hair, but I know, if you've gone through chemo and you maybe have lost your hair, that. So I think it's so different.
Right.
But one thing we can universally celebrate is the fact that we are still freaking here. We are still
Absolutely.
here. We're in
Yeah.
midlife and we woke up today. And so one of my big pivotal moments, I struggled with self-esteem for many years. Now, one of my big pivotal moments was right after I had my first child at 35. And I really wanted to get over my self-esteem issues and be more confident to be a good role model for her. And the way I started doing that, I couldn't just look in the mirror and say, "Oh, you're beautiful. You look great today." I was not at that point. But what I could celebrate or what I could do is start to have gratitude. So it began with a gratitude practice. And it was, I'm grateful that I have hands, that I can hold my child. And I think when we can really, if we can't say, "Oh, I look beautiful today," what could you have gratitude for? Could you have gratitude for the fact that you have 2 feet that can carry you across the room, that you can still walk, that you took a breath, that you are able to physically help your spouse, your child, that you can do something for someone else? And I think when we start there, we're like, "Oh my gosh, like it is a gift. It
And
is a gift." And I mean, I think so many women are like, "Oh, I hate turning 50 or 60 or whatever." But think about what's the alternative? You're not here, right? And I
right.
think for me, I lost my dad when he was 49.
Mm.
And so that really has shifted my perspective. And every year I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so grateful." Like he didn't get to be 56.
Right.
I was about to turn 80, which I'm so grateful for, but he didn't get to be 56.
Right.
And so this is bonus. It's a bonus that I'm still here. It's not a given. It's a bonus.
It absolutely is. And I think that kind of points back to being less wrapped up in the opinions of other people and enjoying your life because you don't know
Mhm.
how much time you have or what's going to happen to you. Everything could change. We're at the point where your life could change today in
Yeah.
a negative way. Like I was not expecting to get a, thank God, stage 1 ovarian cancer diagnosis 2 years ago. I thought I was, like I'm a lifetime exerciser, I don't smoke. It felt unfair. I felt like, oh, I took really good care of myself and this is still happening to me. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't
Mhm.
know what's going to happen. And
Mhm.
you have to live with joy and purpose. And certainly, I think beauty is an undervalued asset to our lives. I think when we hate all your clothes, you don't fit in anything, you could go get a scarf and put it, around your neck so it lights your face up. I mean, you could do something. You could wear some beautiful piece of jewelry. You could
Yeah.
even Goodwill and find something. It doesn't have to be an issue of money. We all have access even to small things, right?
Sure. And I think it really starts. I mean, when I work with my clients, I have them fill out a questionnaire, and one of my questions, and people love to flip it. I ask them, I'm like, "Tell me 3 things about you that you love and 1 thing you're not crazy about." Of course, people want to tell me 3 things they don't like about themselves. And so
Right.
I intentionally say 3 things you do like and 1 thing that, maybe, and it's what I call, but it's a reframe. And
Right.
so what we say at StyleFinder, we don't say flaws. We say considerations.
Mm.
Everybody has them. What are your considerations? And when you know what your considerations are, it makes getting dressed so much easier. Okay, maybe my considerations are my tummy. So I know, fit that first. If I'm getting the pants, fit my tummy first. Then if it fits in the hips and the thighs and the length, then it's good. But if my hips are my consideration, then I need to fit those first. And then
Right.
if the pants fit there and they fit, they're not fitting right in the waist, either I get that altered or, decide to try on some other pants. But typically whatever your largest point is, or maybe your biggest challenge is, reframe it as there are no flaws. It is a consideration. And when you can look at it objectively, it is all neutral. There is no good or bad or right or wrong. It just is. And when you can look at it from a neutral perspective and get a great fit, you're like, "Oh my God, I do look great today. Skirt looks like $1,000,000 on me," or whatever. But then play to your assets. Maybe your hair looks great. Okay, great. Wear a color that's going to make your hair pop.
Right.
I do have a great course. It's called How to Find Your Signature Style. It helps my clients find what I call your hair enhancer, or your eye enhancer or your eye intensifier, and really helps you to find a couple of those signature colors that light you up, that really help you to stand out. What I found, I also feel like I said there's a secret power to color or to style, but there's also a secret magic to color. And so when you wear the right colors, it can light you up. It can really just make you feel happier, feel more joyful. People compliment you, and it just can change the landscape. It's just a whole game changer.
Right. So beauty and self-enhancement is one of the keys to good mental health and good self-care. Because when you feel like you look like yourself in the mirror, or you look in the mirror and you're like, okay, I look good, it changes the way that you put yourself out into the world, and it changes the way people perceive you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely magic. Absolutely magic. So I want to jump into our speed round.
Sure.
So I just want to get some simple answers, 1 or 2 sentences on each one, or one-word answers, whatever you feel comfortable with. Coffee or tea?
Actually, both.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I start my day with tea. Have a great tea that I love. It's a brand called, I think it's called Magic Hour, but it's called Bohemian Breakfast. And I start my day with that. But then mid-morning, I drink a decaf grande Americano.
Nice. Very nice.
So, yeah.
Do you pair that with a favorite snack?
Not usually. It's just the coffee. If I do have a snack, well, I'm a big protein girl, and I found like as we hit midlife, we need more protein. And so I've been really creative at finding ways to bring more protein and that are good. And so I love a good, I've got a brand of protein bars I love. It's called Think, like the
I love the Think
creamy
bars.
peanut butter. So I'll have like a half a protein bar with my coffee. So good. But my afternoon snack, my favorite snack, I've started doing this, mixing up. I'll take usually like, I can't even remember the proportions, but I'll mix Greek yogurt, non-fat plain Greek yogurt with cottage cheese in the food processor. I'll add in a scoop of vanilla protein powder, a scoop of chocolate protein powder. And so it creates this like, it's almost like pudding, or it's just really creamy and so good. And then I'll top it. I'll take Lily's sugar-free chocolate chips and melt those and top it so it hardens and becomes a hard shell. I'm like, that to me feels like a decadent treat. It does not feel like a healthy, low-fat, protein-packed snack. And when I eat stuff like that, I'm like, I'm not even tempted with junk food. Like, I eat so much good stuff that's good for me. So,
yeah. Will you send me that recipe so I can add it to the show notes?
oh, sure. Yeah, I just kind of made it up, but yeah.
Sounds yummy. What is the theme song for this phase of your life?
Oh, well, one of my favorite songs is I'm in Love with You by the 1975.
Ooh.
For me, that's been a theme because it's really like embracing self-acceptance at this age and practicing loving myself at every change, every stage, every phase, with every pound, every wrinkle, it's like, oh, who's that? I don't like that. Oh, wait, no. Okay, we're not going there. Because, even as a style, like, that's what I teach my clients. But even as a style coach, like, I need those reminders too.
We wouldn't be doing the work if we didn't need it ourselves, right?
Right.
Yeah. What superpower have you discovered as you've entered midlife?
Well, I think it's something that's been with me my entire life. I'm an HSP and highly sensitive person. And I think that I feel things deeply. But I think it hasn't been until I've hit midlife that I've learned to harness my emotions and not let them just run over me like a freight.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Learned that one too in the last 5 years. If you could get in a time machine and sidle on up to your 30-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Well, first of all, I would say don't take everything personally because, again, as an HSP, it's like everything was about me.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is believe in yourself and just be who you're meant to be. It can be so easy to compare yourself, or especially when you're a little bit edgier, to feel like, oh, you need to fit in this mold, or you can't do that, or you can't wear that, or you're too tall, or you're too big, or, you should lose 20 pounds. Just be the best version of who you are.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Would you advise women, just one last question about style, just going back to style for a second. What's more important, having a lot of clothing or buying like having less, but buying the highest quality you can? What do you think is the more important one?
Less is more. Less is more. But here's what I recommend. I think when you build, I've been in so many women's closets and so many clients. What I've found is that the women who were just buying, but they were buying low quality stuff, felt like they never had anything to wear. And I think part of it was they weren't buying the right piece. I always say most women have too many clothes, but they don't have the right clothes. And so what I've found is that most of the women who have had the most clothes were buying cheap. They were buying things that didn't last. Maybe they would pill or they would shrink after they were washed, or they weren't really holding out for what they wanted. They were holding themselves small. They were feeling like I can only shop on the sale rack. They weren't allowing themselves to invest in their wardrobe.
Right.
But what I have seen over the years is that, oftentimes when women would come to me, they're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to spend some money. I'm ready to invest. And it was almost like, okay, I just need permission. I need permission to buy these pieces. But when they would start to build a capsule wardrobe and start to really build a wardrobe versus just buy clothes, it changed everything. It changed everything. And then when you have that foundation and then you make those subtle tweaks, like you said, maybe it's, wearing a scarf, or it could be you are shopping on the sale rack between seasons and you're picking up that little piece. Like right now, quiet luxury is such a hot trend. And let's say you have a very classic wardrobe capsule. And then you could bring in this little tweaks, maybe red shoes or red handbags. Like we're seeing a lot of that. That's a simple, small tweak you can make that brings those pieces that you may have for 10, 20 years. It brings them current. It helps them feel fresh. It helps you feel like your style game is strong. Like you're still relevant. And it's just that like little subtle tweak that keeps you in the know. And that can be the defining factor between feeling frumpy and feeling fabulous.
We know that you never want a woman to feel frumpy.
No.
And we certainly want women to have access to the gateway of joy, which is fashion and beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was delightful to connect with you. And I will post all of your links in the show notes. You have a book coming out. When is your book coming out?
I have not actually announced the launch date.
Well, we're really excited about it, and I will post all your links in the show notes. Thank you so, so much.
Kate, thank you. It has been a joy to talk with you again.
It's always been a joy to talk to you.
Thank you so much for listening to Your Magical Midlife. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. You can follow me on Instagram at Your Magical Midlife. You can also check out my offerings on my website, which is www.yourmagicalmidlife.com. I offer individualized coaching for women 45 plus who are seekers, dreamers, and out-of-box thinkers. I also offer luxury retreats that include ritual, rites of passage, and ceremony for women 45 and beyond. I'd be so excited to work with you. Also, if you're feeling kind and you've enjoyed this episode, please leave me a 5-star review, as it opens this podcast to a broader audience and keeps me in those pesky algorithms. Thank you so much for your partnership with me. I appreciate you. Have a great week.